Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is I, Richard Millett, the one and the only, and this is Spring Eternal, the sixth one. We're halfway through this odyssey, this voyage of words and images and ideas and sounds and concepts. Yes, I hope that you're enjoying the journey, the voyage that we make together. It's been a hell of a day. I'm thirsty. That word has been perverted into meaning something sexual. I do not use it in a sexual or sensual way. I mean it in the actual, I'm literally thirsty. So that glass of water will probably be gone by the time we're done here tonight. Let us get into it, shall we? I'm going to start tonight with an old favorite from, what is this in? The female perspective from 2018. I started writing this in 2017. So, all right, away we go. Flowers at the foot of the cave. Swinging light bulb above the... Let's start over. Swinging light bulb above a cracked basement window, a painting depicting the creation of creation, and a makeshift bed. I made up a new name for you that I'll only keep in my head. My head. Look at the jewel resting in the bottom of the wooden cup, or the stack of handwritten sheets explaining the steps of the ritual in rich, deep red. And the names of everyone there exist in my head. My head. Charcoal renderings of saints ripped from a magazine and pinned to the door. Dented bits of metal shaped to make a mosaic and pushed into the floor. Quarter-inch thick spray-painted silver ribbons looped like ringlets in the air, and the floating stray white veins from a feather landing on your hair. Here I sit, half childish, with freshly washed clothes strewn over the chair. A tray with orange peels, melon rinds, and empty glasses rests balanced on the table's edge, while I'm reading a map leading to a room more colorful than the womb, where I can overhear things other than gurgling and organs rushing. But still, this will always be in its infancy, because love is where Genesis greets infinity, and for proof you can look in my eyes, even though I won't confirm or deny how much of this is true, but I trust that will get worked out by you. This is called Milky Skies. For 3 weeks I've seen the sky as one color stretched over a muted spectrum, and I've heard tiny handbells clang at irregular intervals. Without forethought, I was in a state of unstable concentration. With my sense of decency tested, I stared at celeste-colored veins and remembered how they were made. I was reminded of the worm, thankful to be placed back in the dirt after suffering a 2-inch gash on its side from careless shoveling. The youngest lady stops weeping and waiting and steps into invisibility, her velvet-lined pockets filled with small wreaths of braided blue stems. While embarrassed at how much she once admired her mother's brooches, she now fully blushes at her wish to own an ocean full of stone. Her friends' repeatedly requested questions only furthers her hesitation, so she leaves a small note of explanation. Life is grossly inelegant in its demands that one must impatiently forget, chores performed with red impressions left intact from knots affixed to ankles and wrists, as if the sores never existed. Shock of copper curls, cerulean halos in his eyes, considers his environment with his shoulders pinned back, adjusts his balance, and stands straight up in his raft. The one idea that has possessed him so vanishes out from his mind, pierces the sea, then its velocity escapes gravity and reaches away past the sky. But he fears no lack of purpose, or whether this time has been meaningless. He has total devotion to the base truth of his vocation. His ankles give way. He falls back gently, lands on his hands while some water splashes in. He considers those who would deride his actions and thinks, I don't require any clothes. I'd rather remain naked for everyone. I felt watched when I first voluntarily gave away confidential information, then tried to explain the layout of San Antonio to a stranger who never knew I'd never been there before. And now, as minutes become limitless, any vows I made always sustained me. I felt watched when my thinking was clean and capable of strict reasoning, and I rode along freshly painted runways, left notes on license plates, brambles, and high chairs. And now, as lassitude disintegrates, any vows I made remain unchanged. I felt watched when my legs were bathed in a heat as persistent and unruly as a bat taunting a seal, repeatedly landing on its shoulder and squealing. And now, as fury impassively fades, any vows I made could never break. I felt watched when I attended 10 drawing classes and attempted to finish a full circle freehand without interference between thought and motion. And now that my hands are patient, any vows I made are everything. Here she flies. And now we know if the promises made more than 10 years ago have been kept. Here she flies, with 2 pens, rosary, brass paperweight, earrings, locket, and measurements written out on a business card. Here she flies, gums and hair receded, a miniature brace for a baby wrapped in grayed, hardened plastic. Here she flies with an oxygen tank bubbling ceaselessly, a UHF channel on the television showing an old western silently. Here she flies, while I stand with tentative confirmation, a glass of thickened water, and 3 empty white boxes. Here she flies, with skin like marble over winding staircases, and rooms with seafoam-colored walls, and intimidating machinery. This is called When I Look. It's from a book called Present. It came out in 2009. It's hard because sometimes I spent most of 2008 writing that one, but it didn't come out until 2009. So I think of it as 2008. I wanted to get it out before the election, but if any of you have ever seen that book, it's very long and complicated, so it was never going to happen. When I look and walls are in the wind, when I see you're unsure how to begin, I promise soon you'll be laughing with friends in open gardens clapping. When you see, you remember every dream. So we find it's simple to forget. So you find that you are very blessed. Through windows at sunset silently, faces meet your eyes, smiling serenely. So you find you remember every dream. And you try imagining all things beyond eyesight in air, over our celebration, beneath streets unknown, untouched, 40 fathoms deep, too far to reach. When I look and talk to you, I know. When I see that you will never be alone. The mirror reflects a statue, lilac, bush, and bee, and we agreed feelings can create reality. When you see, you remember every dream. In and near, eclipsing, absorbing, transmogrifying wood, water, and sand, pushing till the horizon is vanishing, scraping outer limits, distant and away. This is an old one from 96. Say 96, came out in 97. See, there's my whole thing when I first started was I hated when things like that would happen. And I always wanted, my whole thing was like every book I wanted to put out was going to be like what I wrote that year, you know, and that there would never be any remakes or any all like other versions of things or whatever. I always wanted to just be like a really clear, simple line from start to finish. That didn't really happen. So I guess it's inevitable that it doesn't happen. This is called Water Oracle. I'm ready for unfolding trains to chip away at my splintered pins, waiting for the train's arch sticky impulses and the pleasures of humidity, preparing to dance with a China doll face and blue-faded ignorance, squelching archaic, lice-like traditional hidden dominations. I'm ready for an illustrious glass night with cotton candy laughter, not expecting anything and completely aware of every encrusted idea. I accept the contradictions and the willingness to end, where restless ruminations of sight won't find me cracking my hands. I want to relapse memories of spontaneity with bicycle womb wheels and blood blisters. She might be coming, unshaved at any time, to real flow what won't be said to abolish illusions from exile frenzy, sleeping and dangling on terry cloth mattresses and waking rank porcelain into the morning. This is from Citizenship, 2019. All written and came out that year. I'll stop with that fucking shit. So that's a thoroughly pointless linchpin, right? Shouldn't be so self-critical. Shelves lined with caskets, ripe fruit piled up in baskets. Sugar cubes and teacups rattle as saucers are dragged across tablecloths. Outside, a crowd sits murmuring. A harmonium coughs discordantly off the spokes of a bicycle wheel, and snakeskin is carefully wrapped around palms. Two men each wear a veil, one off mauve, the other pink lady red. Gravel sits at the bottom of stained glass vials, and mink pelts are smoothed out over the tiles. Three elderly spinsters raise their voices in praise, their weathered hands shaking at the sky. Gold medals tied around their waists reflect the sun directly into children's eyes. Four blind beggars fool the crowd into believing they're brothers who compete by tying knots and rope faster than any comers, the act only ending at dusk when they split their spoils. Stars roll around the moon, back and forth from end to end. Clouds erase them away when each new day begins. How are we doing out there? Okay, good. Beautiful. Waking up to the sun-soaked world in the eyes of a diamond stretching out from a full circle. I was at a recital resting on a bed of feathers and then floated to the front of the festivities. A Mercury step leaped through the lake and landed in a leafy, soft meadow, my legs a blurring, winding wheel. My mom and dad hold out boxes. They walk together to an airplane, then climb up and run across the wings. But soon it's nice and quiet for me, as we can plainly see. I tied a string around an anteater, as we can plainly see. The newspaper says it's better to have metal teeth, as we can plainly see, but I would rather bathe in butter, as we can plainly see. I nicked a little bit of a hammer and nail on my way onto the helicopter. What I knew of physics sped up my entrance, never saw the sky be so brave and wide, or thought about the joy in watermelons. And when I carefully left the step stool and went into the underground ice tunnel, I ran across a humidifier so the motor could keep my feet warm and not get harmed by frostbite. My eyes hide behind a pregnant woman's stomach while a laser rings into my ears. I try to open a case of sewing supplies, but to my surprise, the latch is bandaged shut. I breathe yellowed air and drink bubbling water and play with friends who live in the shower. I put a cold stream of thoughts in a brown paper bag and wonder where I can tap the telephone. I freeze my face in photos so that I'm not recognized while I page through my scrapbooks. The bugs in the cracks decline my invitations to dance, so therefore they're unwanted. I hiss into the sink until they crawl back so that my party can stay filled with levity and not too much gravity, so I paste my Polaroids all over the walls in geometric patterns and steal some dinner from the next-door neighbors as it's their fault for having given me a key. My sleeves festooned with pins and wind chimes dangle and jangle, us announcing my arrival. A curl in the best nest, with an arm that won't do you harm, an idol vibrating on a whirring appliance, as we can plainly see. And soon I'm ready to eat. It's called affectionate eating, and there's nothing moving suddenly, as we can plainly see. And even sooner still, time to sleep. Push my way in. Here's to a night of pleasant dreams. As we can plainly see. Happy 11th birthday, love. We love you. It's called Corsage, another old one from 1996. I've been waiting. It's been too long. But now you're here and I don't want to waste any more time. An invitation, a collage reality. Gilded curtains, blue carpets, singed rose thorn blood. Apples and lasagna swathed over your stomach. Sometimes I miss you, sometimes you hate me. Boiling and dark, searing in rhinestones. X-ray angel melting crucifixes, smiling faces. It's so easy to forget everyone. It's so easy to adore you. Sunrise on the Caina Islands, watching from the shore. Take a picture so I won't forget. Sunrise on the Caina Islands, drawing with my eyes. Save it so I won't forget. Azure bird observes the river in its shimmering glow. Ranulph finds walking across the soil while filming the sky. I don't see the bell, there must not be one. The lane and land both bend to shape the horizon. Sunrise on the Caina Islands is eclipsing time. Save it in a flash of light. Drawing with my eyes. This is called Diamond Mine. Water rushing so fast it looks like knotted wood. Its sound a ceaseless perpetual crash in static blue and black. Droplets burst over the plank's sides and dot the dirt or land down kicked-out bricks, and from the ravine's opposite angle the water seems to glide clockwise, rolling ever nearer toward the gears, and into the factory where 7 years previous the core of the industry sunk unexpectedly early, and like a defense attorney, the treasurer ruled the materials used were archaic and their methods unrealistic, and as demand seized up the foreman and night shift technicians acidly joked they were laboring within the Great Repression. For ages, it seemed like the beams from the afternoon sun wouldn't come, but we later learned the view was obscured from a flood that started in the diamond mine. And we know it's either tacitly implied or we're told outright, you can't be seen like that. You need lights. When money is exchanged and you're finally responsible and realistic, you can't be seen like that. You need lights. Know the value of being articulate and reconsider your obscure subject. You need to stay in the lines. You need to revise. Realize the need to eliminate images that would be unwise to present or ideas that you'd be unable to defend. Why persist if honest people cannot implicitly understand you can't be seen like that? You need lights. For years, it seemed like the beams from the afternoon sun wouldn't come, but we later learned the view was obscured from a flood that started in the diamond mine. Back in the head office on the desk next to the coffee, scissors, and gold pen set was a black leather envelope in that morning's newspaper whose subheadline read, "Forget Forgetfulness," and detailed a local photographer who makes elaborate, enormous, near-twin gelatin prints of events, one real, one staged, and described the effect as painting over paintings. And when asked by the reporter, who will get this, the photographer remarked, anyone who misses being pure or ever imagined placing one point in time over another. Anyone who pictures the shape of ideas and not the shape of their mind. Anyone who wonders what God thinks of man instead of what man thinks of God. Anyone who sees a crowd and tries to find the people in disguise. Later, the paper lay open to the crossword puzzle, and among answers written in indeterminate script or asides like, does purpose follow appearance? Where is this from? Reasons better than because. And finally, determining what to become. I've seen the newly forming land, the beginning of the plan, the greatness of the expanse, the brand new day, where nothing will be forced away. I have seen the angle of the road. I have seen the angle of the road. The expectation unfolds. The day, the newborn day. The day, the newborn day will be coming, and the space will sweep us away. This is called, let's see how we're doing out there first. Hi, everybody. What do you guys think about this? This is a storm in a teacup, really, but what do you guys think about this Steve Jones, John Lydon thing? It's pretty weird stuff, huh? Who would have ever thought that it would all come down to Disney? It all comes down to Disney, though, doesn't it? I personally thought the Sid and Nancy movie was a load of shit. I thought it was stupid. I never understood why people liked it. It was absolutely god-awful. There was not a single person, including Gary Oldman, who's an amazing actor, who came anywhere close to capturing, let alone illuminating, what any of those people actually were. Same problem with Will Smith, Muhammad Ali. Will Smith, nice guy, charming, but Ali was a Larry Merchant said it. He was the sun compared to everybody else being a light bulb. You can't capture the spirit of Muhammad Ali, especially in like a 2-hour biopic. It's just never going to work. So, Sex Pistols thing is very weird. I mean, I love Steve, and I've loved Steve for a long time, but I feel like John might be very right on this one. Seems very strange to me that they're, after all these years, imploding over this crap. Very strange stuff. Very strange. I mean, Steve and Paul and Glenn, they all have a right to get paid. I thought Steve's book was what it was. I liked the book. But and there's a couple things he says about John in there that if I was in a group with John, I might take issue with. But John is John. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's fucking John Lydon, you know. And not a lot of people anywhere near his talent level. So you have to take that in consideration, too. I don't know. It's a strange one, isn't it? Anyway, this is called Should I Go In? The silver pepper mill whispers to the hammer that she's an airport. And though she never really shows anybody, I still know that she's an airport. If you stop at her coffee shop, she'll charge you extra for a plastic top. The well-water ice cubes have heard this tale told before, but she's an airport. A zebra's chewing gum can confirm the reports that she's an airport. If you take your shoes off after the security stop, she'll throw them in the air and they'll land in the baggage cart. Run down the runway into the center of the day where the sun is pointing to the ground. Reach all the way down to touch your toes and remember a story that you'll want to pass along someday. Run down the runway into the center of the day where the sun is pointing down to the ground. Reach all the way down to touch your toes and remember a story that you'll want to pass along someday. She's an airport and her father is a farm filled with corn stalks. Her mother is a candy factory spinning reflective baubles. If I could talk to you, I will some more. And just like in today's world of opinion and denunciation and admirable like in pictures and friendliness and outward inliness, maybe I'm on the thrust of that. She dreamed she was a train draped in robin's egg lace. She couldn't keep still in one place. She dreamed she was the only train running on the 4th of July, filled with whipped cream to burst and streamers to fly. She dreamed she was a train running past the impound lot, and after every platform on the route, she'd whisper, I still love Phil. I always have and always will. To know him is to love him. And to know him through his art is the single most profound way that you could ever, ever know him. She was sad when they closed the gates up at night. She dreamed she was a train filled with die-cast metal engines and cowboy hats, ordered by the civil rights worker's favorite daughter. She dreamed she was a train and her earrings were flashing orange lights. She waves hello to the one car she'd stopped at the tiny suburban crossing, a train to get the tracks loose and rattling. Rattling tracks reminds her of those uncles and aunts talking loudly over each other at her grandmother's birthday. Birthday! I live in a parallel place, where the land is level, where the streets are bright in the evenings and I know what tomorrow brings. I live in a parallel place where the wind is cold, where gray-haired men sweep the band shell and foxes sleep under church bells. I hear the lank-haired women walking in the morning, their faces shaped by the sun. I live in a parallel place where there's endless electricity with very low voltage, where everyone dies of old age. I live in a parallel place where rain runs into a tunnel, where able-bodied women clear the gutters and dragonflies rise in slow motion flutter. I see the able-bodied men hauling fallen branches, their faces shaded by the sun. I live in a parallel place where people speak in peace, where the foreman's spouse greets the mailman in a see-through blouse. I live in a parallel place where the forest faces east, where contracts are written in invisible ink and codes are created with a wink. I see all the people breathing through the day, their faces graced by the sun. Blissful cardinals, blissful infants, blue reflections magnified 10,000 times, blue beams bouncing off aged lenses. Radiant artifacts, radiant heirlooms. White sails blistered by the salty sun, white china stacked up in cupboards. Shining domes, shining necklaces. Green feelings balanced on a yardstick, green parchment weighted down by grapes. Last night we saw an angel, the most beautiful woman alive. I've never seen anyone more graceful. She conducted every sound in flight. Last night we saw an angel. She tiptoed across our hum. She exercised her will. She made light move faster from the sun. Last night we saw an angel, the most beautiful woman alive. She stopped the pageant and calmed the lightning in the sky. I walk with God. I walk with God. Through all my changes, during my happiness, and throughout my challenges. I walk with God. I walk with God close to my memories, through my mistakes, past all my actions. I walk with God. I walk with God for forgiveness, for resolution, to see the stages I play a role in. I walk with God. I walk with God because I know it's easy to fall into false humility or declare your own authority. I walk with God. I walk with God to try and understand as much as I can about the expanse of creation. I walk with God. I walk with God because of the moments when I see serendipity and grace expressed so sublimely. I'm only here to accept my responsibility. I walk through a world I don't like, and as time went on, I felt more disconnection. I walk through a world I don't like until I had almost complete separation of myself. I walk through a world I don't like, and this wasn't troubling. I thought it would help. I walk through a world I don't like, and that I could make a true observation and learn and improve. I walk through a world I don't like, but I found that the obverse was true. I walk through a world I don't like, and the more I remain detached and considering the reflection, I walk through a world I don't like, the more I became unnatural and obsessed with my own protection. This is called Dance the Night Away. A blue wave sprayed gently onto the window. It remained an unfaded crescent reaching over the rooftop. Birds flew through untethered. Droplets yawned in sonorous applause. The shape succumbed, giving way by matching passing movements, as when water splashes in the sky. A maypole stands unraveled while a sunfish kisses a butterfly. The fences were then a canvas, soaked tissue paper sprung over electrical wires, fragile forktails freshly shaven, as bronze tiger beetles glanced up at the heavens. Dance the night away! Standing in the shower, listening to the reporter recount the details of how he wrote the story in an interview, silly things that were said, what you would normally forget, we used to create what we call the forensic resurrection. Nobody knows how to tie the simple knots that I know. What they thought was evidence of a UFO were just streaks of antifreeze in the snow. The translation of what the guy was singing in the exhausted chanson was, "Any stick you want to beat me with is fine. I don't mind." They found him naked in the sand, Vaseline smothering his left hand. He had already blown hundreds, tipping strippers and thousands between room service meals and eccentric laundry requests at 3 a.m. As a saint, he could not understand that how you spend one night doesn't determine your way of life. The reporter said one successful story can take as much as 3 years' time. He used his winnings to lease a car he named Spot, though when the divorce lawyer pressed him for specifics, he couldn't confirm whether it was his or not. Reverse gentrification, that's so stupid, the reporter said, while wearing a denim shirt under a suede vest. That's what passes for journalistic integrity, I guess. They apprehended him naked in the sand while he was arguing with his bank about how much he was being charged by OnlyFans. His ignored lunch being consumed by birds and ants. The reporter said, "I'm only out for one thing, someone whose head is round as a bowling ball and smokes their shame before getting hung up on by two guys trying to look inconspicuous in new sharp suits and what were obviously pasted on little beards." He stared longingly at the contents of his underwear drawer, wishing he had a black mask and could march with Antifa. He wanted to make donation calls on behalf of PBS and resented being stuck making crumpets and tea for BBC US. Unfortunately, he was fingered on the steps while his graduating class wept in silent disappointment. The smoke poured from his uncle's calabash pipe. The reporter dipped his thumb in iodine, wiped it on his sweatshirt, and said, "What in the hell did I do that for?" Then took another drink of his coffee that tasted like crayons, hoping to have some luck looking through locks. They apprehended him naked in the sand. At least that's what his longtime stage manager said. He was muttering, "If only I had a brain, a whole lot of trouble driving him insane." They found him naked in the sand, making demands in a country whose laws he couldn't understand, getting taken off past a hail of flashes, smirking at the twerking girls, making a fortune selling their asses. When the Guardian goes mad, the sun rains against their eardrums, indistinguishable from Morse code tapping out on a copper plate. Yes, when the Guardian has gone mad, they're found singing love songs to tanks, draping staircases and flags, breaking car windows to decorate their faces with the glass. When the Guardian goes mad, they're captured pushing a pickaxe into an LED screen and detained for threatening to throw snakes at gas station attendants. When the Guardian goes mad, people suddenly remember to turn on AM radio and patiently follow guidelines before filing a full report. Though there are always doubters and passers-by with conspiracies, the usual being that this was some sort of planned distraction. When the Guardian goes mad, they'll arrive at every awards ceremony with a mirror in hand and a ribbon under their chin and make demands to review the voting processes when they don't win. If the Guardian goes mad, they'll rue the day they lost control of their relationships, spending weeks hiring staff to bury paperwork they'll insist doesn't exist. If the guardian grows mad, all their meals shall consist of orange peels pulled from chain-link fences and burned coffee flavored with molded peach preserves. Though there are always doubters ready to offer an opinion of unverifiable proof summarizing that death and maps are the only real measures of impact. If the guardian cracks up, they'll spend bleak days envisioning trees committing suicide, grandmothers doing crystal meth for the first time, and gnats smeared into toothpaste. If the guardian cracks up, 7 strangers stuck in a bank will claw at each other to seek cold air in the vault and wait for their families and firemen to arrive and dig them out. If the guardian cracks up, pirates will walk their own planks and devour themselves once they hit the water, thrashing back at their gnashing teeth, running the seas red until hunter and prey are finally one. Ignorance, arrogance, the pest control man said unto me. When I was in Japan, I bought cherry bread in a can. I opened it with a knife and slid off the wrap, and the air bubbles stayed floating in my mouth, and I rolled them around and around and around and around until I returned back to the West Bliss tolerance. The pest control man said unto me, sometimes my apartment building turns into a vending machine and I get deposited out into the evening to provide goods and services for lucky couples with good taste and a few wandering dollars to rub their good. This is a new one. This is going to be coming out in a couple months. It's going to be a short book. We have the kind of main book coming out soon. We just put out the experimental book. Before that, there was the best of compilation of the last 20 years. So there's, so much flurry of activity. Something for Everyone was the popular favorites one. The new one, the latest, is called the 56th book, and I'm very proud of it. I think it's lovely. And and then the new one will be coming out, and this will come out after that, if you can make sense out of all of that. So this is it's called Jungs Wie Wer, or in English, Guys Like Us. I didn't want to put out a poem called Guys Like Us. It sounds a little ridiculous. So I put it in German, and it sounds dashing. It's okay in the poem, but oh god. All right. I remember when it first happened, blue lines of cold soap stinging my eyes, spending the day sharpening pencils while waiting for waves to eventually splash across dusk, dissolving walls and words with their force, and even further back, having to choose which hand to write with, standing in front of people as punishment. Running away until the cement vanished, memorizing the moon to see where the birds went, clicking, flickering lights down the hallway to the basement. Guys like us locked up in cars were never taught to drive, blankly blinking at the dashboard and wheel until it's our time to try. We feel the rain in the morning and stop wondering why we're alive. We can always touch what's in our second minds. They lied about you, told your story grotesquely wrong, because we know you don't lose your juice when a simple thing nods. They want our memories, they want our ambiguities. They don't understand a smirk or a wink. We'll never eat what's offered from the beast. Their hopeless savagery only leads to nothing, because we spent the dark hours in their invisible cages, and they can pretend, but it's impossible for them to ever know. Guys like us taking wild turns, ignoring warnings about blind corners and peering through doors. Guys like us driving home late on Saturday night, avoiding being seen, changing lanes towards the promise of paradise. That leads very well into The Rabbit and the Cowardly Wolf. Who cares? An angry, ingrown sore spreading red and silently whining, the body? What body? Her body, a brace of muscle spasms in her right bicep. She'd observe her pet rabbit in its cage and skip past the turn-of-the-century print in her father's office depicting a fox hunt, and yet, just one block away, another rabbit sat in the passenger seat, horribly embarrassed as the cowardly wolf got a breathalyzer and then failed to walk in a straight line. But back to the unnamed girl. I think it might have been Amanda or Amy. When one's head is round as a bowling ball and smokes their shame and presses bare-chested on saplings in the spring at dawn for an unobserved tiny tingle before the roll is called. Clearly, mockery is uncalled for and exoneration is at a premium. But we shall not allow for a violation of definitions, especially for one as important to this narrative as Amanda or Amy. No, 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 no. When the rabbit stepped down as the star of his own sitcom to attend to those personal issues there had been so many whispers about, the cowardly wolf suddenly was left without something to watch, emulate, idolize, sneak in a quick jerk during the commercials to, argue with, get enlightened by, surprised by, study, evaluate, grade, rate, review, proselytize on behalf of, display obscure knowledge of, and obviously whinge that it wasn't as good as the early years, and that he would know, since he was there before whoever he wasn't impressing. But since no other show gave the cowardly wolf the flood of serotonin he craved so restlessly, he grudgingly and pragmatically, generously perhaps, chose to watch reruns in perpetuity, and why not dress it up a little? For they could be revivals, or even better, celebrations, a new institution, a part of our shared experience and ongoing mounting heritage. The rabid, cowardly wolf decided to intercept their favorite actor's private plane as he touched down at the dullest airport you can imagine. The duo were hilarious to themselves. Is he wearing rayon? It's not like he couldn't afford Ultra Suede. "Toe fucker!" After the actor greeted them with a few quick canned quips, he deftly inked two memories, and upon his departure the cowardly wolf chided the rabbit about mistaking the actor's autograph for a pictograph. As they later sat in the 50s diner, their root beers run flat, the jukebox unplugged by the owner. Who was that fighter who won a round without throwing a single punch? It wasn't Willie Pep. Welcoming back Amanda or Amy. I handed him my ovation, but it wouldn't play. Total silence. He gave it back, and I sounded like Segovia. He tried one more time, and it sounded like someone had pressed a mute button. Reverse gentrification. The committee smiles, the lead lawyer holding out a pen. The rabbit renews his contract, and his first project is a mystery called If Only You Were Innocent. Photographs, press conference, no disclosed details of the arrangement. He thanked his agent Marty Weber with a note and fruit basket. The rabbit's people punched up the script with gems like, "Son, you're a born fact checker, right on down to the letter. Also, Wolf had disappeared for 4 days to investigate a garden. He had wanted to make a biopic about himself, but he couldn't secure the rights. The rabbit and cowardly wolf slumped drunkenly against the back wall of their town, with only the moonlight reflecting off their wine bottle. Nyet, nyet, neither the Heroin butcher's wife nor the laborer pounding spikes shall befeel a rigidity known in the necks like the mechanic's rex that feels nor floats a lodestone on the banks betwixt a bell end and an alarm clock. Do you think it's wrong to contradict yourself? Since you are no longer allowed to enjoy a glass of water, the cowardly wolf mumbles a roar as that goddamn kid has taken his seat on the train again. Off the rails with that wretched decade. Then the remorse, the introspective post-mortem, the fashion, the architecture, music, media, the technology, indecisive broad gestures, sweeping changes of the subject, conflating placating terminology with warm sentiment. The cowardly wolf appears to ignore the news feed. Deeply flawed, archaic, downright prehistoric. Dances over the line of self-parody so often, you start to lose the ability to tell the difference. Pedestrian at best, an obvious forced version of what he used to do so effortlessly. I really miss Amanda or Amy. The rabbit and cowardly wolf get x-rays together, paw in paw at the clinic. Nothing's broken. They just like the way their jewelry looks against their bones in the photographs. At the ballet, the view from the private box is undisturbed, and the rabbit relaxes and holds a bucket of carrots. The cowardly wolf watches him gnaw. They bought tickets using pseudonyms and are wearing new suits with contrasting fedoras and little pasted-on beards. In between acts, the cowardly wolf yawns, "Must they always?" which the rabbit doesn't hear, and then the lights go black. The rabbit bribed a policeman, and the cowardly wolf crouched behind a bush filming it all. While both are smart enough to accept that this is an inherently artificial medium, they can't stand exposition disguised as dialogue, or arbitrary structural decisions, or the limitations of the budget, or when some exec wants to cast his damn nephew, who's really a good kid, and just needs a way to break in. Amanda or Amy, I've always had such a high opinion of you. Save your dignity. Don't call the press. Preserve the essence of drama, the command, the show that intermittently ends and begins. How are we doing out there? All right, this is put this out last year. I think it's a lovely book, wonderful book, beautiful book. I dare say there's a lot of truth in it if you know where to how to read it. Book is called "Writhing Shadows of the Curling Flames." This is one of the pieces in it. This is called Wilhelmina's Hazel Eyes. Wilhelmina often finds herself left alone in the family home for weeks on end, and as she eventually tires of tying her clothes into ropes and climbing in and out of the highest windows, she goes into her grandparents' safe, removing 2 small silver bricks, then paints a bouquet of flowers charcoal gray and makes her way into the street, planting herself solidly before getting the entire structure to levitate. Some months later, she sits with the members of her sorority, who she terrifies by telling the story of the time she was able to shrink a stray neighborhood dog who was then able to climb inside the cyst under her ribs. The sorority sisters are equally put off by Wilhelmina's powdery, soft Marilyn Monroe cadence, as she states a carefully articulated, "The few of you are not a monolith. Keep speaking over me, and I will see you get incinerated." Wilhelmina knows that those defined as children are never really able to fully leave the prisons they're forced to endure their sentences in, though they know intuitively they have committed no offenses and are bereft of original sins, so she finds her headmasters and headmistresses and stares at their bodies until they become orbs of light and vanish into trails of odorless mists. Gonna do gonna do 3 from the new book that hasn't come out yet. One of the new books, one of the many new books. This is Shiroi. I signed the guest book to see who else had been in the room. There were only 7 other names listed before mine. One of them was in your handwriting, using a nom de plume. They baked bread, they baked cakes in honor of the decision, waiting for the door to open. Netanyahu and a boss took pictures from a delivery truck after they weren't invited in. I measured how fast the water filled the sink and hid my newly cleaned brushes and blades in the soil of a potted plant down the hallway. How I could still hear some voices echoing, free weights being dropped into a swimming pool. Why was the second name crossed out? Sneaking around and pausing sighs? Yes, yes. I remember when you walked on the water. I remember thinking it was a trick of the morning. I remember a room full of hands stretched out towards you. I saw you open your eyes, wondering if you would ever repeat the moment. I remember when you walked on the water, and it wasn't a shallow stream leading to a moss trail. The memory is an object wrapped in monogram paper on a shelf. I was quoted in your speech, but later you did not recognize my face. You broke my concentration with your fluttering interruptions. You asked if I wanted to dance, then passed me off to your date. The dust from your cracked gasp landed on the shoulders of my tuxedo jacket. I could not have expected the choir to pull out flutes and spend the night trying to find a tune to sustain a 21-part harmony. I could not have wanted a seat against the back wall where the wheels of the dessert cart kept rolling into me. How could you forget the poster of the pincer-nosed couple with pincer, with bleached flower countenance and gleaming jewelry and full evening formal wear, holding tins of caviar, boasting they brush their teeth with lard? How are we doing out there? This is called Oliver Cromwell's Collage. Zero comes before the one, 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 zero comes before the one. The river will run, birds will fly, earth will turn, the sun will rise. Zero comes before the one, zero comes before the one, zero comes before the one, zero comes before the one. Look at the field, the rivers and skies. Day will follow night, spring then summer. Streets will be swept. We will work tomorrow, in the garden, in the building. Your voice was not made for stealing. Zero comes before the one, zero comes before the one, zero comes before the one, zero comes before the one. There is no culture war. Those who vehemently take sides or stake their claim are playing a game, not whose outcome has already been decided, but whose outcome is a continuation of the game. Zero comes before the one, zero comes before the one, zero comes before the one, zero comes before the one. Stuck still fighting the same battles, the rage, exasperation, recurring pain. But it works both ways. Part of the reason the problem stays the same is the way the problems are constantly pointed at, with the same approach and questions constantly being raised, constantly being broken down to a children's song to see who's in or out, right or wrong. The daily reaffirmation is an equal factor in the stagnation. Zero comes before the one, zero comes before the one, zero comes before the one. The sterility, tightness becomes impacted into lack of engagement, interest, and joy, and that is terminal apathy. Zero comes before the one, zero comes before the one, zero comes before the one, zero comes before the one. No, no retro, no, no retro, no, no retro, no, no retro. No, no retro, no, no retro, no, no retro. Fuck 1941, fuck 1924, fuck 1977, fuck 1984, fuck 1991, fuck 2008. No, no retro, no, no retro. Fuck 1929, fuck 2005, fuck 1828, fuck 1989. No, no retro, no, no retro. Fuck 1994, fuck 1966, fuck 1955, fuck 1978. No, no retro, no, no retro. No more retro, no more burlesque, no more detractors, no more marketing, no more unanimity, no more nothing, no more slavery, no more sterility, no more fascism, no more frauds, no more mania, no more armies, no more factions, no more negation, no more lameness, no more cowards, no more manifestos. All the dinosaurs drank from the same place, same bacteria, same reaction to change. The mosquito contemplates the lake, since it seems the view is infinite, and thus too vast to be narrowed down by logic. The mosquito feels panic until it switches perspective, and the lake then becomes again something else, a mirror by which the mosquito can contemplate itself. The mosquito sucking on the back of the dinosaur, its source of nutrition, its home. The dinosaur lumbers forward, stuck in a thought, only able to do what it was taught. The mosquito becomes bored of its host. The dinosaur is only left with a swollen sore. The insect on the floor ran beneath my hovering hand under a door. The insect then stopped. Its voyage was complete. The insect saw itself as a hero at peace, certain that my shadow would soon recede. The insect on the floor, crawling across the men's room at the rest stop. Had a real shiny shell. I knelt down next to it, got a good look up close. There was a fucking camera on its back. Started seeing my reflection in every surface. And though it was a beautiful scene, man, I immediately missed strip malls, parked cars, running water, Walgreens, and office blocks next to trees. I skipped sideways out the exit and took a deep breath. All is one! All is one! All is one! All is one! Nam Pravis! When you think you've thought enough, do the negation. When the past is safer than the present, do the negation. When irony is easier than reality, do the negation. When detachment is simpler than engagement, do the negation. When you see someone with enthusiasm, do the negation. When you encounter inspiration, do the negation. If there's an idea you don't understand, do the negation. Whenever you're uncomfortable, whenever you're inconvenienced, whenever you're irresponsible, do the negation. Everyone's right if nothing matters. Everything's fine if nothing happens. Do the negation. A joke within the suggestion. Do the negation. Got the answers before the question. Do the negation. Control the level of conversation. Keep the situation as it is. See something wrong? Rein it in. Do what you've learned. Do what you know. Do the negation. Everyone's right if nothing matters. Everything's fine if nothing happens. Your attention span is shot, and you know that that's not something to fucking brag about. Is there beauty in an expanse of land, or does it have to be manicured? Take a lawnmower into the forest. Is an animal only there to do tricks? Can a vegetable be pulled from the ground, or does it need to be processed? Can I write these words without being published? Does something need an industry to make it exist? The industry creates customs. Customs create patterns. From the patterns come standards. The standards shift perception, ego, and judgment. The standards reach to nullify aberrations and contradictions. To achieve a seamless definition, the result is negation. Everything's right if everyone receives the same fantasy and thinks it's their personal destiny. Everything's fine if everyone agrees to use the same machines and be more ordinary. The former soldier on death row knows in his private moments what led him to this circumstance, grasps what has stunted his progress. He once followed orders in exemplary fashion. Now he sits in prison, no longer decorated, discharged, disgraced, and abandoned. And he says to himself, when I kill for you, I'm rewarded. When I kill for myself, I'm exterminated. The crowd couldn't be more afraid. The crowd couldn't be more desperate. Nam Verum. Have hesitations about his intentions? Do the negation. They're forwarding erroneous information. Do the negation. Can't devise their own language. Do the negation. Can only repeat verbatim. Do the negation. Imposing rules of debate? Do the negation. Afraid of a dialogue? Insists on petty confrontation? Do the negation. When they have no compassion? Do the negation. When they only know reaction, do the negation. When they doubt your conscience, do the negation. She's preparing for the birth of her child, reading through the history and psychology. Her parents want her to have the baby baptized, but she knows that doesn't need to happen. She's been preparing for the birth of her child, to see it's raised strong and smart, to see it make a contribution and not be intimidated by anyone. She's been preparing for the birth of her child, eating carrots and leeks, exercising every day. She can't wait to teach her child to speak. In the court, the judge declines arguments, admits what's permissible, dismisses ideas that are intangible. The judge's robe is his albatross, festooned with cloves of garlic. He must instruct the jury. He must deliver his sentence. I want to be free. I want to see the sea. Open the ocean. Let me in. Wear glass masks. Open the ocean and let me in. I want to be free. Open the ocean and let me in. Wear glass masks. Open the ocean and let me in. I want to be free. Open the ocean and let me in. I want to be free. Open the ocean and let me in. And along those same lines, This is would you sell the relics? Though it's not about, as I've explained many times before, the military-industrial complex. It could certainly be perceived that way, right? Right. Mm-mm-mm. The general that only cares about tomorrow also expects everyone to echo the same expression. When the general can no longer see the power of their influence, they try and exert control over any small circumstances under their command, while the brigadier general worries to no one if they need a transfusion. The colonel, who's concerned that not enough people's fingerprints matches theirs, requires a warning on the front page of each report, along with a summary cut together by a subordinate in a matter of minutes, so they don't have to waste any energy generating any contradictory thoughts. While the captain enters their coordinates, the location is known and updated every moment, which leaves the captain free to make discoveries like the wheel or gravity, then sell their findings to the executives or campaign staff of their choice, urged by a strong sense of benevolence, a tribute to charity as a force. And the first lieutenant's unmatched love of history is proven by the pictures taken of their parents with Goebbels in Brazil in the 70s. And the second lieutenant's jealousy shows and grouses to one, "That's not Goebbels, it's clear that it's Martin Bormann." The sergeant major that reset the standards of esprit de corps doesn't know the panic they'll feel a few short years later when they are urged out of the way, or that they'll become stiff with resentment and resolute in their calls for punishment and institute measures to monitor how the company behaves, while the staff sergeant writes on a photo of themselves, "The future points to you," and daydreams about collecting the remaining virginities from the sorority house down the road, and they already have the names, ages, and weights in a frequently updated database that the staff sergeant complains about commercials before content. The chief warrant officer breaks ranks to research the order the alphabet was created in, gets rueful about seeing themselves age and attending charity events, funerals, and hospital visits, seeing their face in the mirror more washed out than before, wondering as they write their commencement address, who will be paying attention in the audience, drinking from puddles, seeing what the sky says, not being able to read handwriting. It's just and to the private, it's all an eye roll, and all so boring and shallow to see another round of legacies shut out by an offhand remark. The private doesn't ask any of the officers where they should start. What's the matter where rebellion is kitsch and trauma is Walmart? The specialist greets the private. They each think the other is a dilettante. And later the specialist considers, what's the matter where you have 1,000 followers and not a dozen supporters? Would you sell the relics? This is called Everyone, which is sort of the point. Spring eternal, truth and beauty, it's all something for everyone, baby. Let's make special every day. Let's make every day special, Truth and beauty, man. Spring eternal, Spring eternal. Perhaps, star forms now. Perhaps, maybe even eventually summer divine, maybe. Not this year. Too late in the evening, 7:45. The man around the corner lost his ring in a fight. Here comes St. Thomas walking through the door, found himself an auction, bought everything on the floor. I don't wake up too early. I don't cut my face. I don't call any strangers, and I certainly don't go looking for their graves. Everyone gets half of what they want and half of what they don't. Half of what they couldn't and half of what they won't. Pork chops in the kitchen above the sink, there's a light. No milk on the table for the blink of an eye. Up the road is a driveway where they come out paid. They come out smiling, dead cats in their way. Everyone gets half of what they want and half of what they don't. Half of what they couldn't and half of what they won't. This is another new one. It's going to be part of the short book. But read it now for you. This is called Head Love. I can get two from one. I can get two from one. Drips down the spine. There's no limits in time. Never thought I'd be the type of guy to use a comb, and never thought I'd have to sneak back into my home. And here they are, a room full of uninvited guests, trying to grab me, hand me money, pin a corsage on my chest. Never thought a girl like you would paint with her toes. Never thought an ice cream cone would get you out of your clothes. But the dress went up in the air, and now you're bouncing, throwing around my bedding underwear on the stairs. Now they're messing up my mind, posing me for photographs, fake smiles matching mine, and my anorexic fingers are twitching against a business card in my inner pocket. I can get two from one. I can get two from one. Telephone line down your spine. There's no limits in time. Lick a helmet. Get a surprise. I shuffle off for free to find my destiny. I see an embossed flesh flash in the welcome itinerary. Lick a helmet. Get a surprise. Climb up on my legs and I won't flex you away. It's the kind of image that will stay in my brain. It's in the best way. Lick a helmet. Get a surprise. Take a picture of a wet spot. Never thought I'd be thought of as foolish. A penny to a pound stuffed in a pillowcase. Just got out of the shower. Just let the towel fall off. Bend slightly at the edge of the bed. Too much head love. Take a picture of a wet spot. I can get two from one. I can get two from one. Meals served promptly at 9. There's no limits in time. I see you yelling at the coat check girl. I think you're angry with the projector. I can get two from one. I can get two from one. You should be licking a helmet until it's wet. You should be sweating a wet spot onto a flashlight. I can get two from one. I can get two from one. Lick a helmet. Get a surprise. Don't worry about sneaking out of the lobby in disguise. You're so wet, rode in on a pet giraffe. You were made for two. I can get two from one. I can get two from one. Excuse me. Jesus Christ. Yikes. Snuck up on me. All right. We're going to do Space Filter. Like this one. This is going to be in the other new book. This is in the main book. The last one is going to be in the short book. See? This is from the main book. This is Space Filter. We all like this one. It's becoming an old favorite. He was one of those fuckers with a television face, long, thin membrane fingers, 4-foot legs, and gray veins. You could see the channel change when his skin was peeled. His accent was badly pixelated, tornadoes flown in from old movie posters. They love like Miraculin spiking the water supply. She reads her monthly statements and hopes she'll get a surprise. Lick a helmet, get a surprise. She wins a hula hoop contest and sprinkles talcum powder in her eyes. Lies when interviewed in a sterile room by a queen without a kingdom, crown and jewels, festooned in a barren womb, carriage wheels on layaway. Her pussy is waxed on the 10th moon. She threatens to sue over any ingrown hair. She bites the head off sparrows on her morning runs, then heels over and gets a warning for flashing a school bus. They love like sprayed DDT into a restored chapel. She urinates, then masturbates with the corner of a biography about Ivan Boesky. Dr. Weather surveys the results and reports to the board. After careful observation and consideration, she finally found the holes in the thinking she'd been hiding. And that's when I knew she was pretending. She was pretending to understand. She was pretending to be a man. Dr. Friend makes a casting call. They talk in breathless circles about the saxophone player who cannot take the horn out of his mouth. They stand under paisley awnings in the spring rain. They go up and 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 up. They pay attention to what the sky tells them. They have regression therapy from the bottom of the ocean. She says to Dr. Fran, the ocean is the most wondrous, large, indefinite amount of all. The ocean makes Dr. Fran shiver. Does it make him shiver? Does he believe that the water will withstand his rubber raincoat? She complains to Dr. Weather the water is dry beyond belief, to which Dr. Weather replies, down, down, down into the darkness of the water. He slides gently, the wetting the scorpion palms. Gently it goes. The numbers fall and rise. The checkerboard needs companionship. The wondrous pigment of the ocean ever changing. She is destroyed in a moment. She immediately forgets. Dr. Weather regrets never answering the phone. Dr. Fran mourned the lonely little large lake. She comes on the faucet and asks, does the lake make you shiver? Does it? He sees billboards that sicken him despite his noblest ideals. Dr. Weather comforts him that it's all right to get sickened. Why would you think nautical navigation is neutral when navigation is the wettest waterfall of all? Down, down, down into the tangled purple of the pigments. Gently it goes, tearless and quite possibly rainless. Love God, not worship money. Oh, God. Water, huh? There's a reason. There's a reason why everybody's drinking it. 2 for 1. Right on, brother. You got what I'm fucking talking about. See, Van knows what the fuck I'm saying. He knows what I'm fucking saying. This is called room service. You know, you fucking know. That's right. They arrive every. I can't. I have to. Come on, man. Like it's like method acting. All right. They arrive every. No, come on. That's not right either. They arrive. They arrive. They arrive every year this time. They put swimsuits on. They tell jokes and get the punchlines wrong. We set up the continental breakfast and watch the elevators come down. Before the wake-up calls, we're cleaning the halls. The tables are heavy. We vacuum the lobby. The rest of the morning, we're washing silverware and folding towels. I have to work a double tonight. I'm tired, but I don't mind. At least I'll get some overtime, but by 9, it seems like this shift will go on forever, because it feels like I'm living in a non-stop dream. The lights are always on. I can't sleep or run away, because I'll get in trouble. I can't believe they stiffed me on a tip. I carried their luggage to the street. This is real, so bite my lip and don't ever look back. Don't ever look back. I get so frustrated when they ask me to repeat things because of my accent and then say, it's so cute the way you speak, and I have to listen to some woman complain about the thread count of the sheets. I don't want to work tonight, but I really don't have a choice. I have to make what I can now because I won't be young forever, because it feels like I'm living in a non-stop dream. The lights are always on. I can't sleep or run away because I'll get in trouble. I can't believe they forgot to fill the pool with chlorine. 2nd time this week. Not my job, but they still complain to me. This is real, so bite my lip and smile politely as I can. Yes, I understand, ma'am. My heart really gets racing when their kids throw things at me, and I can't wait to go home tonight. But it'll be okay, because it's either this or the Spoon Factory, and I can't wait to go home tonight. And this is our final. Hell yeah. Right on, man. You know. People fucking know, you know? The fucking the dim signal, you know? It pings off of all over the, you know, light years in time ahead of our time, as a great man once said. All you know, not everybody gets it, but the people that get it fucking get it, you know? This is the last piece of the night, and if you get this one too, so, you know, there's a reason I write these things, you know? Some people think that, it's all, you know, as Chuck D once said, the great Chuck D, and one of the greatest works of art of the 20th century, I don't rhyme for the sake of riddling, and I don't either. It's just that, you know, some people might not quite get the point. But what is the point? Harry Nilsson would argue that everything has a point. And Harry Nilsson perhaps is not wrong. God bless you, Harry. We love you wherever you are out in the fucking universe, man. This is called Always, All the Time. Now then. The present is in the future. History is present. The future is present. The present is present. And history is history. We see the future push to the foreground wonderfully. All three, you and me. And God bless you, Diane. As you once said, you wonderful woman, I hope our future is like flying birds. The weather is in the sea. Gravityless moment caught and dotted with cherry trees and colored pencils. There is very little in life that matches what I feel when you smile at what I whisper back to you. We're in the room and out of nowhere, looking at the inlet together in letters and circles, like the slit in a curtain, like a fluttering bird ready to bathe, like an oxidized copper fountain. I want to be with you always, all the time, like a white shirt with a fresh grass stain, like a streetlight breathing air, like waving from the top of a ladder. You plan all the plans always, all the time, like a strawberry on the counter, like fingernails washed clean, like a bee being curious of a new flower. You are adorable, always, all the time, like pickled ginger on salmon, like a workbench in the sun, like an invention imagined. We are here with each other, always, all the time, like a cat cornering a grasshopper, like a lick stamp pressed with a thumb, like a rectangle with unbroken corners. You are mine, I am yours, always, all time. And that, folks, is another exciting edition of Spring Eternal. We hope that you have enjoyed this. We hope that you have felt the truth and beauty. That's what we're trying to bring. Ideas, images, juxtapositions, concepts, trying to, break through the invisible bars, you know what I'm saying? So we'll be back. We're doing this on Tuesdays now, so, Tuesday it is, so I guess we'll be back next week Tuesday. Hope you have a wonderful rest of the week. And we love you. We love you all. And with that, good night. Bye.